The biggest secret to finding the perfect virtual wholesaling market. What is up, guys? Zach Ginn here, and in today's video, I'm going to share with you exactly the biggest secret the gurus, the fake coaches, the influencers wholesaling real estate and virtual wholesaling real estate don't tell you when it comes to finding the perfect virtual wholesaling market. As somebody that runs one of the biggest JV operations in the country that does a ton of virtual wholesaling deals and teaches tens to hundreds of thousands of people virtual wholesaling and helping tens of thousands of people get their first virtual wholesaling real estate deal and wholesaling real estate deal locally, I'm going to break down exactly what I've seen people having success in a virtual wholesaling market and people that are not having success. And in this video, I'm going to break down, there's actually one huge secret criteria that I figured out that you're not going to hear anywhere else in virtual wholesaling real estate. So before I do it, do me a big favor and smash the like button and subscribe, and let's break this all down. Now, one thing before I get into it, I have to say this. I'm not going to be the most popular guy in the world saying this, but this is the honest truth. If you are an elite virtual wholesaler, whatever market you have doesn't matter. I've talked to people that lived in like Miami, New York City that are wholesaling in those markets that are completely outside the regular scope of most wholesalers, like elite acquisition skills. And where most wholesalers will fail, these people crush it. They make seven figures and they're in the hardest real estate wholesaling markets and they do really well. That is like the 1% exception. I'm just letting you know, like the most elite wholesalers ever, they can do it. They can make it work. I go to Miami. I can make Miami work. But the truth is, for most beginners starting out, it's not going to be a good market. So what I've seen the most success, I'm just going to let the cat out of the bag right now. If the ARV on your market, the after repair value, the median home price in that market is under $250,000, you can even push up to $300,000, but I really like $250,000. So if the average home price is $250,000 or less, and if the population is large enough where the population in the county is over $100,000, if you really follow that rule, you're going to be in a good virtual wholesaling market, no matter what. The truth is, it helps the two most key criteria to virtual wholesaling success. And let me break this down. Now, number one is getting a good deal. Everyone thinks that, like, most people think getting a good deal is everything you need to know about virtual wholesaling success. And the truth is, getting a good deal is half the battle. Because if you get a really good deal, you have to sell that deal to a cash buyer. And that's a big problem most wholesalers starting out in virtual wholesaling, like, that they don't, like, wrap their brain around. It's crazy. Because if you get a deal and it's really good and there's no one living in that market, you're not going to sell to anybody. So the biggest part is having an ARV under $250,000, because when your ARV is lower, your sellers are most likely to take a discount on that. Let me give you a quick breakdown. If you go and get a cup of coffee, right? It's a cup of coffee, right? Like at home, I can probably get a Keurig or something like that. It might cost me 25, 30 cents to go make that cup of coffee, right? Like pretty cheap. And then I might go to Starbucks and pay $5, to go get a cup of coffee. Now, I'm grossly overpaying. I am paying a premium for that because of the speed and convenience of the coffee right there. Pretty cool, right? Like I'll definitely pay for that, right? And it's good quality coffee. It's fine. But if I'm going somewhere and I'm going to go buy a car, right? I'm not going to go, when I go purchase a car, and let's say it's a $50,000 car, right? I'm not going to go buy a Lamborghini or like a Bugatti and spend $2 million on the car when the average car is like maybe $25,000, $30,000, $40,000, right? Like that's ridiculous. I'm not going to overpay for that, right? And that's kind of the same concept for selling a house. You're more willing to give a 20% discount on selling the market value to a house if it's $100,000. Now, doing a 20% discount on a $100 million house, it's way more, and people are willing to do that. So if I have a $5 million house and I take a 10% off of that, that's $500,000 of a discount I'm giving away versus a $50,000 house, that's $5,000, right? Like, it's pretty small. Like, it's a lot smaller. And the way human psychology is, the bigger the number, and if it's the same discount applied, it's going to get worse. So if I'm paying a 10% premium on something that is $1, most people don't flack at that. But if I pay a 10% premium on a $1,000 product and now it's $1,100 versus $1.10, that's when you start flipping out, right? Like a dollar store. When the dollar store went from like $1 each item to $1.25, nobody flipped their minds. But when gas went from $4 to $5, people flipped out because it's just it's a lot more, and it's the average thing. People are paying $1.25. That's fine. The ARV is lower, so just understand that, like starting out, how human psychology works. You got to understand that. Now, the population wise, that's for selling the deal. Usually, when the county's population is over 100,000, there's enough cash buyers and there's enough demand for wholesaling real estate deals where you can do fine. It's like selling ice cream in northern Alaska, right? Like the demand isn't that much. But if I'm selling ice cream in like Florida, ice cream in like Southern California, there's a lot more demand for that. And that's sort of the way to do it. I know I'm the analogy king today, but really, if you have an ARV low enough where you can get people to give big discounts on properties that the ARV is a little lower, and then you have a county population over 100,000, you're going to have plenty of demand for it. Now, what regions in the United States have the most of these? Hands down, the biggest region in the United States for virtual wholesaling right now is the Southeast of the United States. Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Louisiana, Texas technically is in the Southeast there, right? Like those are going to be the markets that have the best ones. And now each one of those markets have bad areas. Miami's probably not the best one in Florida, but like if you do like the Panhandle in Florida, which is basically Alabama at that point, my Panhandle people, Pensacola people can tell me it's basically Alabama right there. You're going to get a lot better deals because the ARV is just so much lower there. And it's kind of a vacation spot. People buy it for an Airbnb. It works really well. Now, Texas, right? Houston, Texas, amazing, right? Because let's look at these two markets really quick. I'm going to look at Houston, Texas, and then I'm going to look at Chicago, Illinois, right? Chicago's average ARV is so much higher than Houston. And then Houston has like a very same population with Chicago. These are both markets that are the top 5 biggest cities in the entire United States. Why is Houston so much better than Chicago? And we're not going to talk about wholesaling laws or anything like that, right? The truth why Houston's so much better is their ARV is just so much lower, right? And now if I compare Miami to Orlando, both are pretty much Florida cities, but Miami's so much higher ARVs that Orlando just makes it more attractive. So the Southeast of the United States has a lot of these little pockets and counties in there with the populations that work really, really well. Heck, if I go in the middle of Florida, for example, because I live in Florida, there's counties which like has a population of like $10,000 and the average ARV is like 50, 60,000 that like nobody wants to live in there, right? They're swamp infested, there's fleas, there's huge mosquito things everywhere. Like no one really wants to live there. Like no one, it's like a drive-by county. That's a terrible market. You might get good deals. There's no cash buyers for those markets. Like you go to the little middle of America, there's really not going to be anyone doing that. So like, let's say, for example, like I go to Nebraska, I can go in like the middle of a cornfield, Nebraska city with like a population of 1,000. I'm not going to like, I could get a good deal, nice probate, but like no one's going to want to buy that deal, right? If I go to Omaha or Lincoln, there's going to be a ton of deals there. It's all dependent on that. Like I go to California, right? Like I always tell people in California for virtual wholesaling, there's honestly 2 places that you can get real estate wholesaling deals for the cheap that are really good. In the Inland Empire and then basically in Fresno, California, in the Valley, right? Those are the only places with ARVs are actually decent, where the population is really high. I can go like all the way out in like the Mojave Desert out east in California where like no one's barely living in there, right? Like it's California, ARVs are lower, but the population's not there. The populations in Fresno and like Riverside, California are big enough where I can do some deals. Now, there are some market exceptions where the average ARV is a little higher. It works. In my personal market, the average ARV is 400,000 and the population is like 150 to 200,000. That's Port St. Lucie, Florida. And I virtually wholesale there. I don't go on appointments. I have people do it for me. I do all that, but like it works. Richmond, Virginia has a pretty, like it's over 100 and about, I would say, like 180, 190,000 population. I could be wrong on this, but like the average ARV is like 350 to 400,000 there. And it's one of the best virtual wholesaling markets, hands down. Why does that work really well? Just because when you can get a discount on those type of homes at 400,000, there are properties there that are valued at 250, 200, 150. So it still works. Heck, if you're marketing to a list and the average ARV is under 250, it still could work. I do prefer the ARV being 250 or lower, but that is not like the all-in rule. Richmond, Virginia works like this. Virginia Beach, my personal market, right? But like if you really want to look at the macro of everything, I could tell you 250,000 ARV or lower is going to be better. A population over 100,000 is going to be best. If I look at Miami, it's not going to work too well. Gainesville in Florida is going to work really well. San Francisco is just too high. The population is there. There's a ton of demand, but the ARVs are way too high. Same thing in New York City. But like if I look at Dayton, Ohio, the population's pretty big there. And the ARVs are like, you can get houses for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, and it works really well. The last part here is high crime areas. I still would avoid high crime areas. You can go to a huge metro area and there might be high crime or properties selling for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 and they've been abandoned for decades. High crime areas usually don't do really well for wholesaling real estate because people don't want to flip those type of houses if they're getting risk for like breaking in, if there's issues with actually putting tenants in there to get the most for it, right? Zoning requirements and places like that. Some cash buyers just don't want to buy a house in a high crime area. Maybe they just don't want to deal with it, but I'm just telling you, if you can find a place where the average ARV is rising, it still works really well. So in like high crime areas, the ARVs don't rise as much as other areas in the city, and that's not attractive for a flipper or rental for a landlord there. So that's the only thing I would tell you. So in virtual wholesaling, if you can find an ARV under 250,000 with a population over 100,000 in a nice area, you're going to crush it in virtual wholesaling. That's honestly what I've seen. Heck, there's virtual wholesalers probably watching this right now in the comments saying, Zach, you're wrong, this, and this. I crush it in this type of market. There's wholesalers and virtual wholesalers crushing in every single type of market in the United States of America. But what I've seen for the vast majority of beginners and teenagers and, people making less than $1 million a year in virtual wholesaling, this is where if your skills aren't like insanely elite, you're going to find the best success possible. And that's really what I wanted to break down in this video. So if you got any value from this video, do me a big favor and smash the like button and subscribe. And if you want to become elite in virtual wholesaling, I highly recommend you go to freewholesaling.com and learn the entire virtual wholesaling process from A to Z absolutely for free. It is free, it costs no money. It's a $10,000 virtual wholesaling course I literally just give away. So go to freewholesaling.com, smash the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon. This is Zach Ginn signing out. Have a blessed one.